Hello again to all subscribers and listeners of this channel. You're listening to Obsidian Radio, and today we shall go over the brilliant episode of Attack on Titan, episode 15, entitled Perfect Game. And this was truly a sad yet brilliantly produced episode. It showed the tactics, unpredictability, and absolute brutality of war in battle and what it's like to be on the battlefield. So let's get into this. Try to dissect this really great yet awful things that we saw in this episode. First thoughts. In this episode, we saw the different scout squads get absolutely destroyed by the enemy. Bertolt had transformed and is already wreaking havoc in the Shigashina district, whereas the Beast Titan was leveling the area in front of the walls where the scouts are. With Levi and Commander Erwin. I have to get into that a little bit later. Either way, you've got to admit that the Titans did a brilliant job of pinning our heroes' backs against the wall, no pun intended, when it comes to this particular conflict. So let's get into the plot. As far as the plot, in this episode, it starts off with Bertolt rising up in his Titan form and raining destruction down on the Shigashina district. Eren and the scouts are trying to figure out how to stop Bertolt in his advance. It's at this time that Armin is so freaked out, poor Armin, and he's so lost about what to do. He passes on his leadership role to Jean. And during this time, everyone is still expecting him to come up with some type of plan to defeat Bertolt eventually. Later, Eren screams at Bertolt to get his attention. He rouses some type of response from him, but again, Bertolt pays him only a little bit of attention and directs his attention back towards the wall. So Eren and the scouts then decide to launch a full-on assault on Bertolt, then jump off Eren's shoulders, and then Eren tries to push Bertolt back, basically grabbing his left foot and trying to push him back somehow. I don't know if he thought that would work, I don't know. And obviously it didn't work. The Colossal Titan simply kicks Eren into the wall, knocking him unconscious. They then try to use their Thunder Spears on Bertolt, try to explode his nape. That doesn't work. And on top of that, Reiner has now risen back up in his Titan form and was almost completely regenerated his previously blown off head. So it's looking pretty bad on the Shigashina side of the battle, or on the Shigashina battlefront. On the other side of the wall, we have Levi, we have Commander Erwin. Notice that there's the explosion from Bertolt's transformation, and they also notice how Eren later got kicked into the wall. They try and figure out how to stop the Beast Titan, only to bear witness to a shower of boulders. Just a gigantic cloud of boulders being thrown at them by the Beast Titan. The older scouts, they just simply get slaughtered. And they didn't see it coming because they spent their time slaying the smaller Titans that were sent to them. The younger scouts survive only because they were further away towards the back of these barracks areas, closer to the wall. But that's not going to last. While seeing the destruction of the Survey Corps all around them, Levi and Erwin have a discussion about what to do next. Levi suggests that they try to retreat, try to get Eren, the younger recruits, and Commander Erwin, get them all away from there as fast as possible. That might be the only chance of victory. At least that's what Levi thought. He now knows that he will, whereas Commander Erwin had a completely different idea. So they have this conversation, and it's pretty obvious that Erwin knows that he's going to die. He's not going to be able to see what's in that basement, and here's why. Because he has to be the one to convince the new recruits to go on a suicide charge using their smoke signal guns to distract the Beast Titan. Distract the Beast Titan long enough so that way Levi can come down. While discussing this, Erwin tells Levi the plan and laments all the brave soldiers that died before them, as well as the fact that he will never fulfill his wish to find out the secret about the Titans, to find out what's going on in Eren's basement. Levi begrudgingly accepts this decision and goes along with the plan. Soon after, Commander Erwin gives his last rousing speech to the recruits. Flock and a few others sheepishly but very predictably reject doing this until Erwin tells them the truth about the value of their lives and the value of the lives of all the other fallen comrades that died before them. Erwin continues his rousing, powerful, motivating, and very last speech to his soldiers as they ride into battle one last time. And as the commander drives his army forward, he himself is gored by a large boulder, a large stone. This is Commander Erwin rousing his troops for the very last time. Commander Erwin rides against the enemy for the very last time. Commander Erwin falls for the very last time while fighting for humanity's freedom. And as Erwin falls, the episode closes. Very powerful. Now here's some very interesting things I noticed. Quite a few things, so it's going to be a long list. The first thing I noticed that I thought was interesting is the battle tactics of the Beast Titan were very well thought out. From the launching of that first boulder, when he did the shot put throw to block their exit back into Shigansha District, to sending only the smaller Titans in to bring out the scouts, and then launching that first wave of giant boulders to cut them down right when they're destroying the smaller Titans in the first place. So he knew what he was doing and he set it up perfectly. Crazy. He planned it out very well, gotta admit. Second thing I noticed, the bell that got hit during one of the boulder wave attacks, the way it sounded made an incredibly powerful impact on what we were seeing in the imagery. The sound that it made matched almost perfectly with the ambiance, with the atmosphere, with what everything was going on. You could almost say it sounded like a death bell. Very, very good detail done by Wit Studio when it comes to the sound mechanics of the episode. Number 3, third thing I noticed that was interesting. There was some censorship here, yet the silhouette, corpses, and the body parts being flown around, grinded into absolute mush all over the place. I would argue that actually did a pretty good job of conveying how ugly the situation was, especially when they did the silhouettes in front of the red-black background. Very, very well done. It was censorship, yet it still gave off that vibe of being a very dark and very ugly, violent situation. So it just gave off that really good atmosphere. Again, something about the black and red worked really well in terms of displaying the absolute massacre of the scouts at the hands of the Beast Titan. The fourth thing I noticed was when Erwin eventually figured out and accepted that his death was going to happen, and he saw it way before it happened. That was both intense, heartbreaking, but well written. He had to be the one to convince the younger soldiers to die, or their deaths would have been in vain, and Levi would not have had enough time or any way of actually cutting down the Beast Titan. So he's like, okay, they're going to die, but let's say we need to find a way to have their deaths actually push us forward anyway. So basically it was a sacrifice. He sacrificed himself and his soldiers. Very heartbreaking, very touching. And that, again, that's a very deep psychological situation to go in. To know that you're going to die before the death happens. How you put up with that, I do not know, but Erwin took it. He took it like a man. What can you say? Number 5. Fifth thing I noticed that was very interesting. On the other side, on the other battlefront inside Shigansha District, I found it interesting that Bertolt didn't immediately kill everyone around him with his steam blast ability. So I might have to watch the future episodes, see what's going on, but that was a little confusing. Is it just me, or was he still holding back after he said that he would kill them all? Or maybe they just got out of the way faster than I thought. Or maybe their anchors are actually being dislodged from his skin because of the amount of pressure his steam blast attack is emitting on them. So I'm not sure what it is. It's just my guess. It could be any of those 3. If anybody knows for sure, or maybe I'll just watch the next couple episodes, I have to see. I just thought that was interesting that they got blown off rather than killed. But yeah. Number 6. Sixth interesting thing that I saw is how Erwin faced the Beast Titan head on, and they both fought each other in a very unconventional way. That's one thing I like about Attack on Titan is if you pay close attention, The vast majority of the fights are very unconventional. And it's also very unpredictable how the fights are going to play out if you were never watching the series before, you never watched any of the future episodes. The way the fights are choreographed, both like physically and psychologically, is very well done. I like that. Like most fights, most anime fights is two really strong guys, and whoever's stronger and more powerful wins. When they get these endless amount of power-ups. Attack on Titan doesn't do that. The fights in Attack on Titan are very logical, they're very tactical, and they're very fun to watch. When you see that people have to think of ways to defeat the other person, not just be stronger. So that's something I noticed throughout the entire series, especially in this episode, that I thought was very interesting and very satisfying in terms of good storytelling. If anybody else has ever noticed that, go ahead and chime in the comment section below. But I noticed that about Attack on Titan, and I really like it. Really good writing by Asayama Hajime. And the last thing I noticed, number 7. Erwin's final speech while riding towards the Beast Titan was a very hard scene to watch. Very hard scene to absorb. I also noticed that Flock was the most afraid to join the battle, yet he was the one that apparently survived. Yeah, I gotta go back and check that. But could he find the Commander Erwin and help him, save him? I don't know. I gotta go back and check that. I might be skipping too far ahead. I don't know. But yeah, only time's gonna tell. We have to see what's going on in the next episode. But I just found it interesting that he was the loudest and most afraid. It looks like he might not be the one to die. I'm not sure, but we'll get into that later. Now, as far as the animation quality. Yeah, there are some things that are bad, and I'm going to point them out. I'm going to also point out things that are really good, so let's just see. First, let's point out the bad. There are two things I noticed that were kind of bad. One is there is a scene of Eren running in his Titan form towards Bertolt, and his movements to me look kind of stiff. It was when the scouts were on his shoulders, and you see him like full frontal running towards Bertolt. And I'm like, that particular piece of animation looked kind of odd to me. I'm not sure what that was, but it just looked strange, oddly stiff compared to most of the episode. And the second thing is, as much as I don't like to talk about this, I will have to point out another spot where the CGI Colossal did look kind of bad. It's a short scene where Erwin is explaining the immensity of their situation to Levi, and in the background you see the Colossal Titan spreading another wall of flames while doubled over. And I gotta admit, that wasn't the best looking CGI at that point, but at least it was a short scene and nothing major. So now let's point out the good things in the animation. The good things is, 1, the very first time the Beast Titan launches his volley of boulders, absolutely excellent animation in my opinion. That whole entire setup was just really well drawn, as well as the flying silhouettes of body parts in front of the red background. Very smooth and very beautifully done in terms of conveying the just ugliness of the death and destruction. Second thing is when Erwin and the scouts are riding to their deaths, the final scene looks so smooth and well put together. It almost looked like it was in slow motion. A very sad yet beautiful and well animated scene showing the fall of the Commander Erwin at the very end of the episode. Very skillfully drawn, very beautifully done. And as far as the animation as a whole, I'd have to give this animation about 7.5 out of 10, only because of the parts with the spotty and stiff animation with Eren running in his Titan form. And yeah, the CGI did look kind of bad for the Colossal Titan in some parts. So yeah. So I try my best not to be too harsh on the animator, because the animation is extremely hard to do. Trust me, I've seen some documentaries talking about it. But there are some times where there are going to be flaws, and it's okay to point them out. But I just try my best not to be too harsh about it. As far as the best thing about this episode, absolutely the best thing about it was the pitches being thrown by the Beast Titan, the complexity of his and Erwin's battle strategy, and the very obviously final speech by Commander Erwin Smith as he rode to his death. These were all incredible high points of this entire episode, as well as Erwin's conversation with Levi about his dream, his wishes, and his respect for his fallen comrades. Very deep and very powerful episode. Very powerful scenes. The worst thing about this episode was probably the animation involving Eren, the Colossal Titan, and a few of their scenes, where it was basically focused on those two, looking kind of stiff and a little bit wonky. As far as my favorite scene, absolute favorite scene in this episode was when Erwin gave the entire sequence between the beginning of Erwin giving his last speech and the very big end of the speech when he's saying his last words right before he gets ripped by the boulder. And he only did this knowing that he would die along with his recruits. He would die along with his comrades, his soldiers, all of them following his command. Very powerful character, very well written, very well respected. Fighting, charging, and dying for humanity. That's what Commander Erwin and his scout regiment did. Very powerful scene. Very powerful scene. As far as a 1 to 10 score for this episode, I'll award this episode an 8.5 out of 10. Beautifully executed when it comes to the horrors of war, Commander Erwin's true intentions, his resolve, his absolute courage of him and the scout regiment, his death, as well as the special bond between him and Captain Levi. All that made the episode absolutely incredible. The only thing that took away from this episode was the slightly spotty CGI animation and Eren's animation of when he was running. Other than that, very nice episode. The overall summary is this. Overall, this episode was an intense look at more battle strategies by the enemies, the resolve of the soldiers, the courage of the scouts, the dreams of Commander Erwin, the bond between him and Captain Levi, the enormity of the situation where people feel like they're out of options, the responsibility of a commander of an army, and finally, this episode also showed the resignation of Commander Erwin. Not just the resignation of his dreams, but also the resignation of his actual existence. All because he wanted to benefit humanity. All of that was showcased in this episode. Would have been a masterpiece of an episode if certain scenes didn't look oddly stiff or weird. And that's all for now. Please like, subscribe, share, and donate to support this channel. You all have a nice day. I'm out. Peace.